What is up, guys? It is Blake, and today I'm going to be ranking Phase 4 Marvel projects on a tier list ranging from D tier to C tier to B tier to A tier and to S tier. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe and tell me what you thought about Marvel Phase 4. But one rule I have for this video is I am going to be excluding Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever because I haven't seen it yet. Yes, it is fairly new, so you know. But it is still part of Phase 4, but I will be seeing it soon. So since I don't really feel like updating this list and making a whole new video, it's just going to be its own separate video. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe. Let's get into the ranking. So first off, starting this off, I think we have to start in D tier. This is the bottom of the bottom, the worst ever Marvel projects that I've ever, just seen. First off, in D tier, we have Ms. Marvel. This show was just kind of alright. I mean, for me personally, I was never a fan of Ms. Marvel, and I was never a fan of the show. The one thing that I got kind of hyped at, which I described in D tier for there was that one enjoyable part, it was really when Brie Larson showed up at the end of the Ms. Marvel finale post-credit scene where she warped in. That was probably the most hype moment of the show for me. Everything else was just mid. I mean, I did like The Weeknd being in the show. I was super hyped about that, but as soon as he just got off screen and I just saw the first few minutes, I just really wasn't that interested. So that's why it's in D tier. Then we have Black Widow, which, it's Black Widow, come on. You've all seen those TikTok clips, the bad CGI from Yelena, but that's probably a plus side of this movie. Yelena is a very good character. She's also been expanded upon in other MCU projects, which are going to be in this list later on. So obviously, they did give us Yelena, which is why D tier is it gives us one good moment. But those are my two D tier entries, Ms. Marvel and Black Widow. Have C tier, which is mediocre at best, but it did have its enjoyable moments that I laughed at and kind of enjoyed. First up in C tier, we have She-Hulk. I enjoyed this show, but I didn't feel like I had to watch it like a Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something, where I really felt compelled to watch this show. It was enjoyable, and it did give us the Megan Thee Stallion meme, She-Hulk twerking.
Taste it there. Num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1.
But this show was just alright. It had enjoyable moments, and the finale was better than I thought it'd be. When all the characters showed up, I thought, this is stupid. This is just your cliche MCU show, and then they kind of pointed it out, which I enjoyed, so that's cool. Next up in C tier, we have Thor: Love and Thunder. I was severely disappointed in this movie. Now remember, C tier, it's mediocre, but it can have its good moments. This movie was very funny. I like Jane Foster. She was cool. I like Thor, although Thor kind of disappointed me in this movie. He just seemed like a dumb, handsome, strong guy. But honestly, I kind of still enjoyed this movie. I mean, I watched this movie with friends, so we were literally laughing the whole time. But if I look past the vibes of the movie theater that day, it was just an alright movie. Next up in C tier, we have Eternals, and this movie was also pretty cool. I like the suit designs of all the Eternals. I like the casting jobs. But otherwise, the movie was just alright. I kind of felt more disconnected than I have been in the MCU. At least in She-Hulk, it brought in other superheroes like Daredevil. But that's all I gotta say about Eternals. I don't really remember that much because I feel like I fell asleep halfway through the movie. B tier, which is good, but it's not as good as the rest of this list. First up in B tier, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I really enjoyed this MCU show. After Endgame, I anticipated what would happen with Falcon and that Shield and Bucky getting recovered, and it did really deliver on this. We got Zemo back, but the one tiny gripe I had with the show was the Power Broker. I think that's the name. I haven't seen this show in so long, but it was just so random to me how they picked it out. But otherwise, I really enjoyed this show. Personally, I think John Walker is one of the most underrated MCU villains. Honestly, it's such an underrated MCU show. People don't talk about it enough. Next up in B tier, we have WandaVision, which honestly, I personally literally liked Wanda being in the different eras. A lot of people hated how Phase 4 had MCU characters and whole different vibes. Like WandaVision was the #1 example for most people. I really enjoyed Wanda being in the 60s, in the Dick Van Dyke era, and the kind of Full House era. I really enjoyed that. Now, this might be a hot take, but I really enjoyed Agatha as a villain. I think the twist was not really unexpected because everybody was like, if you put her name together, it's spelled Agatha Harkness or whatever. But the one thing I absolutely loved about this show was the way it made me hate the Tyler Hayward. Whoever was the director of the sword operations was so freaking annoying. Congratulations to this show for making me have the most hated TV show character of all time. Next up in B tier, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Honestly, I think it's a pretty underrated MCU movie. It is such a good movie. I love the Sam Raimi vibe to it. A lot of people don't like this movie. I personally liked it. America Chavez was great. Her powers for VFX looking were amazing. Doctor Strange was alright in this movie. I've never really liked Doctor Strange. I really just came here for Sam Raimi. I just got excited about him directing it. I personally like Wanda in this movie, like being the villain, and I like her turn in WandaVision. And personally, I like this movie more than the first Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange seemed kind of boring to me. I don't know why, but this one actually was pretty fun. Next up in B tier, we have Moon Knight. Moon Knight, to me, at first, started out as a great MCU show, but it kind of devolved into a pretty good show. I love the different vibe. I love the violence when it cut back in the first episode in the ice cream van with the dude blood all down his head. That was cool. But then in later episodes, when Layla Lily stabbed this dude in 2 shoulders and literally just no blood came out, I was like in disbelief. This movie was fun. I liked the Mark versus Steven. I didn't know how they'd handle it, and I think they handled it pretty well. So, cool little MCU show. Next up in B tier, we have What If. People dogged on this show so much after it released. That's been the case with MCU shows. Even I've started to see it with Moon Knight on my TikTok, but I'm on like a weird side of TikTok, let's be real here. People have always been like, What If is just alright. It's kind of unneeded in the MCU. I personally like Infinity Ultron. I think his design is so cool. I like the Infinity Stone chest. I think it's a very underrated MCU project. Now, to be fair, some episodes were really boring. Like, personally to me, I think the first Peggy Carter episode was mad boring. It was such a snooze fest. But I think the finale was really fun. I think it was just a great underrated MCU show too. Then finally finishing off B tier, we have Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye's fine. I like Kate Bishop. She's a fun introduction, but other than Kate Bishop, this would be just another MCU show. This would probably just be like a She-Hulk for Hawkeye, but introducing Kate Bishop was a really good idea for this show. It also brought Yelena back, which is cool, and it kind of gave her closure that, Black Widow is dead. So that's pretty cool. Then we have A tier, which is really good. That's all I gotta say. It's just really good. Now we're moving on to A tier, and the only movie I have in A tier is Shang-Chi. I thought this was a really cool movie. I really liked the train fight scene, or the subway fight scene, whatever. It was like a bus fight scene. I really liked that. Pretty neat movie. It was very funny. I liked the dynamic between Shang-Chi and his friend. I forgot her name because, I haven't seen this movie in so long. That's really all I gotta say. I don't remember too much about the movie, but I really enjoyed it, and it's an A tier, so it's kind of one of my underappreciated MCU movies. Then we have S tier, which is my favorite Phase 4 projects, which is just the best of the best in my all-time favorite MCU projects, movies and TV shows. At number 1 for S tier, it's gotta be Loki. It's just so well put together and just so well produced. I love the dynamic between Loki and Sylvie. I just love the finale. Honestly, it kind of pulls like She-Hulk maybe pulled a little bit of inspiration by not being a normal finale with a big old action-packed CGI fight and just being like a talking and kind of like recognition segment. I think it's episode 4 where they had the opening of the Timekeepers, and it was like that really haunting looking scene. That brought me chills. Also, I like the idea that like the TVA was evil after all, and they brought random people from the timeline to work for them and kidnap them. This show is just so well put together. I also love the scenes where the Lokis brawl, because that's just so funny. Then next up in S tier, at number 2 for my favorite Phase 4 project of all time, Werewolf by Night. It's gotta be. This movie is just so well put together. Micah Giacchino is just such an underrated director in my opinion, and I think he should definitely get in more projects. Plus, this movie is super gory and violent. I mean, I know it's put in black and white, but like, it's still very gory, but I honestly enjoy that. It's a change of pace for the MCU, and it kind of just brings a whole new vibe for it. Plus, I really like Elsa Bloodstone. I like her performance. She's really cool. Gives that little, rebellion, like, female character in a movie. I thought it was very fun, and it was a fun homage to the old Universal Monster story, so second place. A lot of people might be mad at me for this. I put a MCU TV 1 hour special over third place, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I know Andrew and Toby was pretty cool, but I mean, like, other than that, the movie was just cool. I mean, it brought old classic villains back, gave them new looks. Willem Dafoe was fun. He was very creepy performance, especially where he turned from Norman Osborn into the Green Goblin in the apartment, and he was giving his monologue. That was a really powerful performance. But you know, looking back, there were some moments that I found pretty boring in the extended cut. Matt Murdock's little cameo at the beginning, I didn't think it'd be that quick into the movie. I was pleasantly surprised. My brother and my mom were just confused, and while I was just geeking out in my chair. But honestly, I would probably put this in A tier until I remembered the hype for this movie. Every single trailer, people were reacting, people were freaking out. It was just a W time to be alive. It was just the hype around it was insane. Seeing Green Goblin at the end of the trailer, seeing Toby and Andrew in the movie, my theater went crazy, and I don't think I'll ever relive anything like that. But S tier all around. This is my final tier list. Tell me what you think about it. You know, let's just cut to an outro. So that was basically it for this video. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe and tell me what you guys thought of my rating. And what would you put? What would you put Miss Marvel in S tier? Which why would you do that? But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe. See you guys next time.